Hey, alright, I hope you guys love our new intro. We're gonna use it in our upcoming tutorials. And frankly speaking, I'm so sorry for not posting tutorials lately because I was crazy busy figuring out the new Phoenix HD. Some cool VFX for architecture is coming your way. So we're gonna start from something very simple like caustics. For me, this was a big issue for many years. I haven't able to tweak it right, but now I'm gonna show you how you can set it up in a very easy way. So I'm gonna share this sample with you. You can follow along. We're gonna have two files, start and end. As you can see here, I've built a scene, a little box here, and some arc in order to give a little shadows from concrete. And I also put a sun, basically VRay sun, with all those parameters, pretty much everything by the default. So now I'm going to put here on standard, and right here in the middle I'm going to create some water. Okay, so before that, let's put a camera. We're gonna use VRay physical camera. Thank God they brought it back in the 2019 version. Something like this. Let's click C and position it. Let's click show save frames. That way we'll see what we're actually doing here. Alright, and now let's click render here. And as you can see, I'm using progressive just in order to get a faster feedback. My sun is deactivated, so I'm getting a little bit shadows coming from my sky here. I'm gonna cancel that. And let's turn my sun on, so we'll see where the shadow's coming from. You can do it from here or from VRay lister. As you can see, I have two sources, VRay Dome and VRay Light. Both of them are off. So let's start from VRay Sun. I'm gonna click to render. So this is how we get the shadows in. And you can see progressive rendering works really fast. Somehow it reminds me the speed of Corona, maybe even a little bit faster. But I'm pretty sure they took some of that algorithm after they bought the Corona team. So you can see after a couple of seconds it's getting pretty clean here, and if I leave it for a minute I'll be able to get much cleaner result. But for the sake of idea, I just wanted to show you the rendering parameters. So as you can see, I'm using progressive right here, not a bucket, and everything by default here, not really changing anything. Okay, so let's put some water. I'm gonna go to plane. You can use box if you have something filled inside, but for swim pools I like using plane. Let me take this isolated. Let's put a plane. I'm gonna select 2.5 snapping points and place plane here. We have to give a lot of subdivisions because we're gonna use some noise and some displacement. So somewhere about here I think will be good. Okay, let's go back to our camera, lift this thing up to deactivate this. Somewhere here will be good. And now let's make some water texture. So water texture, I'm gonna use basic VRay material, black, completely white reflective, completely refractive. We need to give a little bit more depth, about 10. And let's give a little bit fog color. So on the exit, it will have some color to it. Okay, and now let's render and see how this looks. Oops, I need to apply the texture. Okay, so we're getting nice reflections here. We can see through. You can see the legs of a table. So looking nice. All right. Now let's add to this plane some noise. So we'll get those waves going on. And on the z-axis, we need to lower the scale so we get nice waves into this. Okay, now let's render. Alright, so we can see we're already starting getting those breakings in reflections, but no caustics. So now let's go and activate caustics. I'm gonna go to my rendering settings. Gonna go down here to caustics, turn it on, and I also have caustics pause enabled here so I can see if the caustics is working or not. This is very essential so you guys can see. Now I've turned the caustics on and I don't see anything. If I go to caustics pause, it's completely black. However, we have some bouncing off on the wall, which is nice. Right here, and we can use it later for post-production in order to increase our caustics here appearance on the wall. Alright, it's pretty nice, very minimal, but again we don't see the caustics in the water. So what's the problem? The problem is that we didn't turn off our effect shadows. So let's do that. And in order for caustics to work, this has to be turned off. Okay, let's click render again. And voila, our caustic starts to work. Pretty cool stuff. So why do we get only caustics in this area? It's simply because we have to go and enlarge our photon emission radius on the VRay sun. So you can see the photon emission radius is just at that area. What we're gonna do is scroll down to VRay sun and the emission radius. Let's put here 2000, too much. So we need to cover this whole swim pool area in order to get caustics everywhere. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cover it, the whole thing here. And now let's click render. And voila, pretty cool stuff. Okay. However, the caustics at this point is looking very, very generic, and it doesn't really simulate the real water. It's kind of, you know, repetitive, but we don't see any break of a pattern and like small and big waves. So let's do some more advanced stuff and try to get a nicer caustics to our image. So what we're gonna do here is I'm going to disable the noise and I'm going to add VRayDisplacement. This one is pretty cool for making ripples in the water. So I was searching for a couple of those. I found a couple of good ones on the internet. The first one was actually this one that I found. If you guys are not familiar, there's a website called... Oh, this one is actually good. I never tried this one. This one might actually work much better from TurboSquare. I didn't find it. But what I found is this one which was snow texture, but if you guys not familiar, SketchUp Texture Lab is pretty cool. The membership was only $20, but you have also a lot of stuff for free with a lower resolution. So I've downloaded that, and let's use it. So how we're gonna use it? I'm just gonna take that texture here and drag and drop it right here on the texture map. I'm gonna leave everything by default, and I can also drag it here on the instance. Here's my map. Here I can change the tiling and the coordinators, but I'm gonna leave it as is, and let's see how this works. With the amount of bump 1, and let's check our caustics pass. You can see the caustics became a little bit smaller following our ripple. But we can see that the caustics is not defined. Since we got a really nice detailed texture, and we get this nice detail here, the caustic itself is not really defining. So what we need to do is we need to tweak it a little bit. So let's go ahead and tweak it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my caustics here, switch to advanced, and let's minimize the surge distance to 1 so we get it a little bit denser there. Okay, so we're getting denser caustics, however we're not getting enough quality to it. So it's very dense and we're getting those white blotches. So how we can smooth those blotches out? I'm going to stop it again here and go to my maximum photons, and I'm going to increase that to 200. And let's see. So we're getting a little bit smoother, and we're getting more of a shape. As you can see here, the shapes are getting more defined. They're less chaotic, they're more organized, but still we don't have the quality in it. So how we can increase the quality? We need to increase the subdivisions of our sun. So either we can select the sun, right click, VRay properties, and right here, as you can see, we have also caustic subdivision and caustics multiplier. So if we don't have enough power inside the caustics, we can increase the multiplier. By looking at this image, I can say already that we do have enough power, but we don't have enough subdivisions, enough quality. So let's do the quality. Let's increase this to 5,000. I'm gonna click close. So now we need to get really nice defined caustics, because we went from 1,000 subdivisions to 5,000 subdivisions, so that gotta have much better quality. You can see also the building caustics photon map takes also a little bit more time, because we're getting much better quality to our image, but eventually it needs to look much better, much more defined. Okay, so here we go. Now we're getting a really nice feeling of that caustics and really nice quality to it. It kind of spreads around, looks very natural to me. Again, sorry for the watermarks. I didn't do the subscription on the VRay SketchUp Lab. You guys more than welcome. In case I do feel that I'm gonna use that texture, I'm actually gonna do the subscription there. But as for now, this looks pretty cool. Now, what's cool about the Photon, the progressive rendering here, I can limit my time in order to get a little bit better quality. So now I'm rendering within a minute. Let's put like 3 minutes here, so we'll get a little bit better quality. You can see the stuff is already working pretty cool. I'm getting those nice ripples. Let's pull that back end a little bit lower so we can see how the caustics works with the depth of that image. So, all right, and now let's try another map. This was cool about it. The minute you tweak it, you can swap and change different other maps and see how they work with this one. Let's increase this to about 2 and 2, maybe 175. Somewhere there. And render this. Alright, so this is very generic. I love it. Even though it's snow, it gives me those nice realistic ripples in the water. And maybe it's a little bit too small, you gotta enlarge it. However, with the big resolution of displacement map, you're gonna get those nice details. I was actually going through a lot of maps, displacement maps, and checking them out. Those ripples that we have to simulate caustics, they don't actually work. What we need to have is something with a much better quality to it, with the deeper transitions and gradients. Okay, so we can see here again. Let's go to our caustics path. You can see the caustics is building up. So that's the caustics, it's whatever bounces off. If we want to do water, we have to add refraction paths, because everything refracted, and this is our swim pool, this is what actually is going to be represented here. So you can see again, this is pretty cool. We get those random look, looks like fractals here. Pretty cool stuff. Different textures work differently, but just so you know, this is the detail that I'm talking about, that you gotta have those little gradients in and out. I didn't actually try this one, but we tried that now, and we did try this one. The snow was the best so far. All right, so I'm gonna share with you those textures so you can download and test them out for yourself. And I'm also gonna give you 2 files, start and end, so you can practice and get your own rig. This is the power of the 3D artist, okay? Having those rigs handy and ready to go. I have a lot of things that I created with different scenes, and you don't want to go and look for stuff. The best thing is if you create some scene and there's something good in that scene that you want to keep and repeat in your other renderings, just save that file and put it in your library, so it will be easier to get it out of your collection of setups and bring it in and have it ready to go. Okay, so you can see the quality is pretty good, and the caustics here is working amazing on the wall. It looks very, very, very realistic to the point where the water gets that natural look. I like it so much, and I'm so happy that I finally figured it out. One very important thing, when you're working with caustics, I know US architects work with inches, others might work with millimeters, meters. For this purpose of tutorial, I've used centimeters. And I noticed that all CAUS group files, they all come in centimeters. And everywhere I work, some people work with millimeters, some with centimeters. Again, it's your personal preference. However, in order to get things calculated fast and properly, you have to use centimeters. Simply because CAUS Group is Bulgarian, European company, and everything being calculated and the code being written in centimeters. I guess that's my wild guess. Okay, but again, yeah, that stuff works in centimeters pretty good. All right, so that's how you do it. Okay. Work with caustics, you can try other stuff. Let's do another cool thing. Bro science, that's a little tip. I know those people doing ocean shots, when you see like half of the shot is over the water, half of the shot below the water. So let's try to get something like this. Atmosphere shot from the pool. So in order to make it, you have to put your camera on the water level. So let's do that first. Let's take my camera and let's put it on the water level right here. All right. Okay. And let's click render, see how this goes. All right, cool deal. So we do have that nice underwater caustic ripple effect. We can also add some light rays and stuff like that going in, which can be very cool. But we need to cut through the water. So let's see how we can cut through the water. I'm gonna use clipping of the VRay camera. So let's go down here, clipping on, and let's go as far as we can with this. And let's start the clipping, the near clipping. Okay, so the near clipping, let's put it somewhere here. And let's rise a little bit like that. Be cool. And let's make our table taller so it will touch. Stretch it. Yeah, let's let it touch go inside the pool. And let's see how this also works with the wall. All right. Okay, so now let's click render. I don't know, this one really gives me that underwater feeling, even though we don't get the light beams, the sun beams going through and everything, but with a little bit glow, I think we kind of get that effect. And just because the render is on progressive, we're getting this nice realistic grain to it. So it does feel very, very photorealistic underwater shot, even though we didn't use much tools and then any rendering tweaks. It's just all by default, and you're getting pretty cool results. That's why I love VRay so much. You don't have to work that hard in order to get cool results. All right, pretty nice, eh? So we have the cut through the water, and if you guys, if we put some more waves to it, we will get that nice wavy form for our water. So yeah, I mean, it does feel very realistic to me. Okay, and we're getting caustics underwater, over the water. Again, we don't get the pass of translucency, refraction. If we get the refraction, we'll be able to see that here and work with it. But look at that really amazing stuff that we can get just within seconds. Within seconds, we can get those minutes. 3 minutes, and we're getting nice, sharp quality to the render. Okay, so I hope you guys like it so far. So just to wrap it up, let me show you that you can also calculate caustics by using dome light. So I have a dome light here with, let's see, where our dome light. I have dome light here, and it's got inside, it's got this HDRI texture. So let's turn off VRay Sun and let's turn on VRay Dome. Let's click C, go to our camera, and see how this calculates. All right, so we don't getting much and we don't getting any caustics. And let's also increase the quality to 5000. close. Let's render. And the reason is why we actually don't see caustics is because our photon emitter is not in the area. So let's go to dontlight, and the photon emission, like with the VRay sun, we have to cover the whole thing. Okay. So let's do this like that. Go back and click render. Now the caustic starts to work, because I can see already that photon map is taking some time to build. And let's see how this works with our swim pool. In general, GI and light and everything that comes from the VRay dontlight, from the HDRI map, is kinda comes from everywhere. It does have a point, it does have a direction point. Oops, it's a little bit too strong. So let's do, I guess we overdid it with this 80. Let's put 2 here and render again. So just because the light, every pixel and HDRI image is a lighting point, because it got depth, high dynamic range image, got a very deep pixel depth, and that allows that pixel to shoot a light ray. So dark pixels will shoot less. Of course, bright pixels like sun, they will shoot more. They will create those nice, soft, photorealistic shadows. However, the caustics will not be really directed. It's very hard to adjust it. So I do like to use VRay sun, and in many cases I do like to just have my VRay sun working only with caustics, only with that particular object, and I have another VRay sun to light up the entire scene. So that way my light for the entire scene can change, but the light for the caustics can have a very strong intensity, when the light for the scene can have very low intensity. Again, we're getting nice ripples, nice photorealistic effect. As you can see here, this is this been generated from the GI, from the HDRI map. Again, very cool caustics here on the wall. Let's see those. And they also picking up the color from the HDRI map. So you can see it's coloring a little bit in the reddish. Okay, so pretty cool stuff. This was actually looking pretty realistic, except those lack of photons here. We need to increase a little bit more, but in general, it's looking pretty good. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. You are more than welcome to download sample below and create this caustics rig by yourself, so you can use it in your future renders. Okay, so like it, share it. This is Alex, your VRay guy. Talk soon. Ciao.